Hey everyone, so I just spent the last week doing musical rooms with my kids. I don't know how many of you have kids that love to do that, but it's a pretty frequent thing at my house. So we're in my son's new room. I was able to really reuse all the furniture from his old space, but it gives him like a whole new room in here, which we love. The one thing I'm needing is some shelves, and with the cost of lumber so crazy high, I wanted to design something cute and affordable that would help him store all of his trains, books, and all sorts of other goodies. So that's what we're building today. All right, so this is the wall that I'm going to be working with today. It's nice and wide and blank. It is narrow though, so I'm going to do shelves that don't stick too far off the wall, and I think they'll give him the perfect storage for all of his goodies. Okay, so before I cut my wood for these shelves, I'm actually going to go ahead and hang my brackets. Now, I found the cutest brackets on Amazon. I'm going to be linking to these. So 4 of these guys, which these are heavy duty, I'll double check the weight on them, but 4 of these guys were $15.99 with shipping on Amazon, which is pretty awesome. And I'm gonna be able to use very minimal wood, which is also awesome with prices being so high. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna measure center of this wall in my son's room. And we have 60 inches, so I'm just gonna mark 30 with pencil because I can go back and erase that. So I know this is kind of where I want the center of these shelves to be. I'm eyeballing where I want my first one. I know I'm trying to keep it out of the reach of the youngest guy. So I think my first one I'm gonna put about right here, and then I'll put my next one like 13 or 14 inches above that. So I want 40-inch shelves. Y'all can decide how wide you want your shelves based on your space. I know I already measured mine out. I kind of wanted it to fill most of this wall, and I'm only gonna be doing 2, but I think 3 would be really cute. So I'm going to make 40-inch shelves. I want to leave 5 inches of overhang on each side. So basically, I want my brackets to be 30 inches apart. So that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to take that line right there, and I'm going to mark 15 from that to begin with on this side, and then I'm going to run that over to 30. Now these are just, again, eyeballs. So I know I want them to end up there, and now I've got to make sure that I get them nice and level. I will first just go off of one of these lines right here, and I'm using a longer level for this since I want it to be the whole length of one shelf. And I'm going to find center, and I'm going to draw a straight line. So instead of up and down like I just did, I'm doing a straight line. Now this is my method. Some of you may have a much better one, but it works for me every time. Basically, I want the bottom or top, I can decide, of that line, of both, to be on this, and then I want the center of the post to be on my up and down line. I'll show y'all a little bit closer. So I've drawn the up and down line, which marks 30 inches across on each side, and then I've drawn my straight line, and that's where I'm going to be lining up the top of my bracket for both sides. Now I'm going to use my stud finder. I'm going to be linking to this one as well. It's super simple to use. I just use a basic one. It's zircon. I'm starting my stud finder away from this line, and then I'm just kind of inching it towards. It's pushed up against the wall, and I can see that my stud is actually over here. So what that tells me is that I'm gonna have to use anchors to, if I want my bracket to be right here, I'm gonna have to use anchors to mount it, which is great. That's no problem. So I'm gonna do the same thing on this side over here. And again, I missed my stud. So you have the option here. You can definitely line yours up on the studs if you need to. So I know these aren't gonna be holding a ton of weight, so I'm not super concerned about finding my stud, but you definitely, if you're gonna be holding a ton of weight, it's always better to find a stud rather than use anchors, and it leaves less mess on the wall, which is always nice. But I'm gonna go ahead and stick with what I've made, and we'll go ahead and get the brackets hung. My very favorite anchors are what I call speed anchors, and they come in different brands. They look like these little white plastic little guys. And then they also each anchor comes with a screw, and I call them speed anchors because they're fast. There might be a speed anchor brand, but I'm not aware of it. I will link to the ones, I get mine on Amazon because they're super cheap and they come in big packs, so I will link to those. And what I'm doing is I'm taking each of these brackets has 4 holes. So I am going to be drawing I'm gonna get this guy in place where we had it lined up. Again, making sure it's nice and level. Then I'm going to go and draw just a dot in the middle of each of these circles. Now that shows me where I'm going to be putting these 4 speed anchors into the wall. But I left my drill in the garage, so I'm gonna go get it now. Okay, I'm back. Drill in hand. Okay, so these are great. Okay, I'm not gonna say so. Okay, I said okay again. These anchors are great because they come with a little point, so there's no pre-drilling necessary. And I'm going right on my drywall, right on that dot that I made, that first dot that I made. And I'm just drilling, and it is putting this into the wall. Now, what I'm doing is I'm gonna go until it's flush with the wall, and then I'm gonna stop. Cool, so I've got 1 done, and I got 4 more to go. See how they're nice and flush against the wall? 2 down, 2 more to go. Just like that, guys. I have got my 4 anchors in my wall, flush with the wall, and now I'm going to go through with the screws, the anchor screws, and I'm going to attach my first one. So it's gonna go through this little post and into one of my anchors. And you just go until it's nice and flush and tight against the wall. Now, these screws are silver, but I'm gonna show you a trick to get those painted and covered up when we get all 4 finished. So I'm gonna go ahead and add my other 4 screws. Okay, it is that simple getting this thing attached. So I've got my first one done. I'm gonna go ahead and attach my other 4, and then we will move on from there. I have my 4 brackets hung, and now before I go cut the wood for these shelves, I'm going to cover up those silver screws. So Ash and I use this trick all the time. We just use a simple, inexpensive tube of black acrylic paint. You can get this at the craft store, any craft store really. And I am using also a very small little paintbrush, also at the craft store, super cheap. And you just want to put a tiny bit on your brush, and then you'll just dab it on over your screws, and it immediately takes care of the problem. Now, while these are drying, I can go get my shelf wood cut. Awesome. To keep the cost down on these shelves, I've decided to use 2x6. So currently the cost of one 2x6 board here in Texas is $15. So I am able to get both shelf boards done with just one 2x6, which means each shelf is going to cost me just over $7 in lumber, which I love. So I've cut both of these down to 40 inches, and now I'm going back with my Greenworks sander, and I'm going to get this thing sanded down and prepped to stain. After I sanded the shelf boards, I added a coat of golden oak stain to both of them. I love this color. I think it's super neutral. Definitely goes with everything in his room. And now I'm up here and I'm gonna get them attached to those brackets that we mounted on the wall. So the cool thing about those brackets is they actually come with holes already built into them that allows you to attach these boards, which is great for safety, but it's also great if you have, I'm using scraps for mine, so if you have a board that's a little bit oddie body, it holds it in place and makes it nice and even. So I'm just getting this one centered and lined up, and then I'm going to use 1 1/4 inch wood screws through the bottom and up into the shelf boards. Now, this has a little bit of give, so you definitely have the option of pushing it totally up against the wall. I'm actually going to split center because I just think it looks best, and then I'll get it attached. And I'm coming up through those holes and into my board. And it's just gonna hold it nice and tight in case any toddlers want to try to climb them. I have one of those who also loves trains, so that might just happen. Okay, first shelf done, now I've got to attach my second. Okay, I have both of my shelves in place. The last thing I'm going to do is add just a little bit of paint to those screws so that you can't see that they're silver, and get these things decorated. I love how these shelves turned out. Of course, he got to pick out everything he wanted on them, and I think he did a darn good job. So y'all be sure to subscribe. You don't want to miss another video. Thanks for stopping by. After I sanded, okay, ready. Before I go cut the wood, I'm going to cover up these silver screws really quick after I turn my phone ringer off. And I also, no, shut up, honey. Okay, so after I blah, 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 hold on. And I'm gonna get these attached to the shelf. No, shut up. Okay, all right. Okay, after I sanded, blah. All right, guys, no, I'm not gonna say that.